Welcome to This Must Be the Place. I'm your host, Alo Galinsky. Each week, I'll uncover what's happening in Sonoma County, diving into the hidden gems and quirky corners. I'll be interviewing some of our local legends, as well as people you didn't know you need to know, all through the eyes of a craft beer enthusiast living in wine country. Join me as we explore one sip, one story, and one adventure at a time, and together we'll find out why this must be the place. We're warming up to the holiday season and switching things up to start December as we debut 2 episodes in 1 week, a week we're calling West County Week here at This Must Be the Place, highlighting small businesses and local authors that have put creative ideas on the map. We're excited to share their stories with you, so make sure and stay tuned for our second episode drop this coming Sunday. First up, we're venturing to Main Street, Sebastopol to uncover a world of curated design and community building. Step into Gather, a new retail shop that sells modern goods for the practical arts, gardening, preservation and fermentation, home and kitchen, and fiber arts. Co-owners of Gather, Erin and Hillmer and Jen Koelemeijer, join us to explain how their concept store is more than just retail. They'll share the story behind their unique venture, discuss how they cultivate community within their space, and offer insights into their design and curation philosophy. Welcome, Erin and Jen.
Hello.
Hi, thanks.
I've wandered by Gather many a time and had the pleasure of stopping in just a few weeks ago, and I'm excited to have you here and talk about this local small business as it relates to the holiday season and beyond.
We're really excited to be on. Thanks, Alan.
So the store name is Gather. Please explain to our listeners the meaning behind the name, as it is more than just retail. How does that name reflect the mission of the business and your vision for the space as it was debuted and as it's kind of gone since you opened?
This is such a great question. And I wasn't really expecting this question. And so it really got me thinking about I came up with this name like 15 years ago. And I have had this idea for the shop for a long time. And the name really just met the need. I think of Gather as like this word that covers so many different meanings. It means to gather people together, to bring people together, to create community. Also means like when you're in your garden, you're harvesting and you're gathering your produce and the things that you've made, or, even like in sewing, it's, you sew and you gather things together, or knitting, it covers and touches so much of what we do in the shop and in our community that it just kind of really was the right word for the thing that we created.
The name itself really nails the whole concept of like coming together and finding beauty in like the everyday living. Like we use the phrase practical arts a lot, and for us that's kind of what all of it is like living a life that is filled with art but is also really practical. It is it is useful and creatively fulfilling.
For those of you who haven't walked into the store yet, it is a multi-use space, which I love. I think coming out of especially the pandemic and a need for places to gather, it's a great location to be able to shop and explore both kind of your inner creativity and get together with friends, because you walk in the storefront and there's all these, things from local makers. There are things to inspire creativity within yourselves. And then also this space in the back where you can come and enjoy classes, as we'll talk about a little later. But first of all, what was the inspiration kind of for opening the space? Do you want to share the story behind your decision to open this brick and mortar store in an age of e-commerce and the specific choice of Sebastopol's Main Street location?
This idea has been kind of percolating for a long time for us. And we wanted to create a space that was not just retail, that created the opportunity to have community, to share learning. The practical arts is like, it's creating beauty and meaning around like our everyday tasks, right? Like we all have to do these things in our lives. And we wanted to create a space that provided a place to have the perfect solution, the right tool for the job that will last and that is something that you can use for a lifetime, and a place where you can learn how to use it. And then to have community around that. Like it's all work, right? We want to share this labor to create a place where we can all learn how to do these things and then have shared labor around, like preserving the harvest. You get a million lemons come in on your tree and you have to figure out what to do with them, or you have zucchini, or you have all these things that happen if you're gardening, or if you want to learn how to visible mending craft or stitch.
Yeah.
There's just it helps to have somebody who knows how to do it, to be there to walk you through it and to share that
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. And I think in terms of like the physical space itself, and the timing of opening it, a lot of people have been like, "Oh, you're opening a retail shop right now." And I think like we both were at places in our lives where we wanted to make a change and we wanted to be doing something where we were more embedded in the community with which we live in. Like we both have lived here for like 10, 15 years. We're raising kids here. I was working remotely for a company that I was feeling pretty disconnected with my actual community. And so we were talking about it, and then Jen was like, I think the time is now, like I want to do this. And then the space opened up on Main Street, to be honest. The business that was there was closing. We heard about it. We had looked at the Barlow and some of the other spaces, but I think there's something really homey about what we're trying to do, right? Like these are a lot of grandma hobbies. And I think there's also something really homey about like a downtown Main Street in a small town. And so I think trying to anchor our business there, it feels like these used to be such main streets used to be what brought a community together. And I think with the age of e-commerce and being able to buy anything we want with a click of a button at any time, we've lost that. And so I think if there does feel like some connection to opening a store like this on a main street with a mission of trying to bring community together. So it all feels like it kind of works. And we were talking with the Chamber of Commerce and other small businesses and trying to figure out how to like bring some of that excitement back to downtown.
You opened the space in an old creative space, being People's Music, a store that people, there's a legacy there. People walked in there to get inspired by the creativity of music. So you're kind of bringing new energy to this deep space that really was meant to kind of create things and create inspiration in people. So that's also kind of a nice way to look at it.
In my previous life was a brand designer and like creative director at companies. And I really value just like beautiful physical spaces where you can go to get inspired. I think, you come into the store and it feels nice. There's really is good vibe. You can feel the good energy of what has been in that space before and what we're doing. And I think having places to go around and browse and look at things that inspire you is important.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and People's Music it's a legacy store, right? Like people come in and they say that like, oh, People's Music was in the space. And then I think we had part of the challenge was to make sure that we honored that space and made sure that it was still beautiful, and we created our own thing in it, but that it brought something to the community like People's Music did. Yeah.
You two must have had some creative specialties to be able to bring these classes together as you're leading them, if I'm not mistaken. So why don't you talk to us about a little bit of your background in the creative space?
Well, it's interesting because we both don't have a background in this at all. This is our first foray into retail and our first foray into doing anything like this. I come from a business background. I did banking, and then I ran a non-public school for 15 years as the chief business officer. So I have a deep knowledge of business and operations. And then Erin comes from creative design.
Yeah, I was a brand designer career-wise. I would say hobby-wise, like we both have do these things. Like I made this thing this scarf that I'm wearing. I've been a knitter and a maker and like, a hobby sewer, jam maker. I've liked to do these things hobby-wise. And to be clear, we do not instruct all of the classes. Like we bring in experts who are much better at it than we are. I mean, I teach our beginning knitting class because, that is within my wheelhouse. And I want to like build another little army of knitters. And Jen is a master food preserver. So she has a lot of preserving and fermenting skills that I don't have. And we have a big community around this that we've built over our years living here that we tapped into for a lot of our classes as well as we started.
And these are things that we love. I mean, that's why we created this space, is to take the things that we love, gardening and preserving and fermenting and knitting and crocheting and sourdough making and cheese making, and like bring a place where people who do these things can come together and share their knowledge and share it. So like as in our community, we have in Sebastopol, we have these like groups of mostly women who come together and we knit together, in our knitting circles, or we have a gardening club, or we wanted to create a place that we could bring all these people together and share these passions. And that's what Gather is.
And especially during the holiday season when people are looking for reasons to gather and places to gather, these third spaces, you do have a lot of holiday workshops coming up this week. And do you want to give us a rundown of what you have planned, what availability might be out there for people to still sign up for?
Yeah, we're doing a series called Gifting Naturally, where we want to encourage people to learn skills to make handmade gifts versus just buying stuff. We've already had a natural dyeing class, and we had this weekend on Small Business Saturday, like a felted soap class. Those were both super great. We're also having upcoming, we have a felted knit slipper class, which I believe is actually sold out. We're doing embroidered holiday ornaments. We're also doing hand poured candle and holiday garland class. Those are both coming up on the 6th. And later in the month, we're having a botanical bitters making class with Land Local. So she's going to be teaching us how to make herbal bitters. We're going to have an art of a kokedama class, which are these Japanese moss balls where you plant plants inside of the moss balls and wrap them. So we're having a workshop on that where you'll take 2 of those home that you've made. And we're also doing an herbal body oils and salves class with a local herbalist, Colleen Bingham, who goes by the Herb Nerd.
It sounds like there's really something for everybody then. Somebody who likes to create knitting, somebody who likes to get into preservation and fermentation. And I know candles are a big thing out there, especially during cozy season. So it sounds like you're offering really something for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's our focus for the holidays. And then as we go into the new year, we're scheduling a whole bunch of other classes. We have some more miso fermentation. We'll have our sourdough classes and our cheese making classes back on the schedule, broom making. We're doing a fire cider and vinegars class, some more advanced like knitting classes. So those are also like if people want to buy gifts of future workshops, we'll have all of those as well in the new year.
And we just love the idea of gifting naturally, where you're creating something with your hands. You're not just buying a gift, because your time right now seems so much more valuable than, money spent on a thing. And when people take the time to slow down, to make something, to create it, and then gift that thing, I feel like there's just so much more value in it than just, picking something off the shelf.
And there's that connection, there's that personal connection. You took the time to sit down, make this, gift it, and kind of curate that for the person you're giving it to.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you could also come pick something beautiful off the shelves that we've curated for you.
That's right. I was in there and I was browsing the candle selection, and I couldn't carry them home with me that day, but I'm going to come back and take a look at all the candles you have to offer in there, because I'm not necessarily a candle maker, but you've piqued my interest in maybe coming down to head at a workshop soon. Now, you did allude a little bit to your 2026 selection of classes, and I wanted to ask, what's the curation process behind these classes, and what has been the most popular or maybe surprising class or series so far that you've seen the community really come out and engage in?
Well, we really want to encourage local artisans to come teach classes in our space, and we always hope that if they are out there in the community making things for sale, that they'll sell them in our shop. So those are, I feel like that's how we curate. We have people who approach us, or we approach them at the farmers market and say, we love what you're doing. Do you want to come teach a class? Or they come into our shop and they say, we love what you're doing and we want to come teach a class. So it's really a collaboration between the artists in our community who are doing these practical arts, creating and making things, and then what we think the community wants to see and what folks want to do. So it's definitely a collaboration, and we're really excited about, we have a local farmer who has a flour CSA who she grows and mills flour in the area, in like Sebastopol area, and mills it, out in Green Valley, and then, has it for sale in our shop. Or we have Land and Local who has her, beautiful shrubs and bitters and salts, or we have our tea blending teachers has her tea blends in the shop. Those kind of things, they're beautiful, and they're just the best expression of these things.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a year-round craft market in a way. You see all these holiday markets popping up just this time of year, but you really offer a place for these artisans to come and not only sell their goods, but then teach their craft as well.
That's exactly it right there, Ella.
Yeah. We have this idea, and you start something and you have no idea how it's going to land. So like when we started the workshops, we had people from our local community that we know, like who have we have a friend who teaches our jam making classes. We have this preserve the season that runs from like May to October normally, where we every month we preserve whatever's in season for that month. And to just see how like this idea that we had and it started kind of small, and to see how it's grown, and like she has repeat customers who come to her every month to learn a different style of canning and a different way to preserve. It's just been amazing how natural it has happened. How do we curate them? It's a lot of uncool stuff of like calendaring and schedules and when can this fit in? And we are trying to do a lot, right? It's not like we're just a knitting store or we're just a gardening store. So trying to find the balance of we try to do it very seasonally. So we have garden classes we're starting those in the new year so people can plan their gardens and order their seeds, and how do you mix your flowers with your vegetables for best pollination? And that naturally comes at this time of year and like in the late winter to early spring. And then we have the harvest season. And then like we're in cozy season now, so we get to do a lot more knitting and, fibery things. So we try to do it seasonally as well as like tapping into our community that we have. And then we really do, like if people are listening to this and you are an artisan and you're like, oh, I want to teach a class, they're like, come in. We love meeting people who make stuff and want to come teach other people how to make stuff.
And as far as data mining goes, because if I'm not mistaken, you've only been open about 2/3 of 1 year so far. You're probably still figuring out what works for an entire season's worth. And come April, May of this 2026, when you've been open a full year, you'll probably have a little bit better knowledge of what might work and what might be appropriate seasonally going forward.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. We've just been so lucky that most of the things that we've done have been really successful. So, I mean, and I don't mean to say that that's not from us. That's from the community wanting these things.
Right.
We're really trying to be responsive to them. We have people come in and say, "Oh, I really wish you carried this tool," and we'll carry it. And then people want to buy it, or they'll ask for a class. And so we really listen. The point of that is that we really listen to the community. We want people to help us, to help guide us in what they want to see so that we can provide it, because that's really what this is about. It's not about Erin and I, it's about creating this community of people who want to do these things together. And if we're not listening, then it's not going to work.
And I think for all small business owners out there, it is really important to have the feedback, two ways: listening to your community and your consumers, but also having them listen to you and maybe urging them to try something different that they might not have thought of before. And, Sebastopol is one of those places that has such a tight-knit community. There's a big sense of Sebastopol West County pride out here. Why is Sebastopol just the perfect location for this concept of community retail? How does Gather fit into the local landscape? And what role do you hope seeing it play like further into 2026 and beyond?
Well, Sebastopol is such a nexus for art and sustainability and community. So it really felt like the right place for us to start this adventure. The community has embraced us so wholeheartedly. We feel really so blessed. I mean, we were honored as the best new business in town for 2025 by the Chamber of Commerce.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And this has just been such an amazing ride because the community really seems to want what we're bringing to them. And I think Sebastopol is the perfect place because of all those reasons. There's just so much art, so much focus on sustainability and self-sufficiency already that this kind of just meets the need.
Yeah, I feel like this whole area is filled with such abundance. We can grow pretty much anything here. And it's also, there's a lot of lack in our world right now. And so like one of the things that I feel really passionate about is like community care. Like I feel like this Gather fits Sebastopol beautifully. And I also think this concept of coming together could benefit most communities, like getting to know your neighbors and sharing. We do this happy hour every third Friday, and during the summer and the harvest months we had a produce and preserve swap. So people who had an overabundance of stuff in their garden just would bring it in and shared it with the other people who came. And so that sort of thing, I feel like Sebastopol, it is in the core of what West County is, of like there is so much abundance and people do really want to share the abundance. And I think that is really important.
Absolutely. And you've also emphasized the importance of reconnecting with our hands in a fast-paced world. How do you see the practical arts enriching people's lives and assisting to build community?
I think it goes back to what you were talking about, this idea of third space, where you're trying to create a place where you can, that's outside of your work, that's outside of your home, that you can come together. And that's really what we hope Gather is going to be, is a place where people can bring people together to create and to use their hands and to learn new things. I mean, that's why we call Gather like a space for makers and doers. I mean, this is for people who really want to be self-sufficient and to learn these skills. And these are skills that have been, passed on for generations. And it's just it's great to see them come, what that new expression of these things are too.
Yeah, and my social media algorithm is all knitting content and fiber arts content, and there's a ton of information about like how grandma hobbies are going to help all of our mental health and slow us down. And I think we can all admit we hold our phones too much, and so anytime you can be doing something else with your hands, I'm all for it. And I think there's been so many people who've come into the shop who are like, oh, my grandma taught me how to crochet when I was little, or I learned this from my grandparents or my older aunt. And I think, there's a resurgence of popularity in these. I think all of us can agree that we spend a lot of time on technology for everything, buying things, connecting with people like we're doing now. And I think, yes, there's no denying putting technology down and picking up knitting needles, picking up a canning jar, going out and digging in the dirt, touching grass, all of these things. Of course, they're great for us. And doing it with other people, making new friends, it's just, wow, it's the stuff of life.
I mean,
It's so good,
technology is
yeah.
amazing, but it's also sometimes in the way. I'm old fashioned in my own grandpa ways, and I have a, Sunday morning routine of always doing the Sunday crossword puzzle. Some people love to do it online. I still need that pen or pencil to paper connection. So I
Yeah.
understand that wholeheartedly when you think, okay, how can we get off our phones? How can we take that moment to slow down? And hopefully it encourages people to, okay, they've come out for one Saturday workshop. Maybe they'll make a habit of it. Maybe they'll bring somebody else next time. Or
Yeah.
if their grandma or parents are still in their lives, maybe they'll bring them in to show them, hey, grandma, hey, mom, hey, dad, I'm now doing what we started to do together in a
Yeah,
new way.
we had a wreath making workshop a couple of weeks ago, and there was a grandma, mom, and like 12-year-old daughter who did it together. And
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
you love it. I love to see it. And also, like, we're talking a lot about our workshops. We also we have a lot of other community events for people. I'm aware that not everyone can spend $150, $90 to take a workshop. So we also wanted to make it really accessible to people to join in the community if they cannot pay for a workshop. So we have, like, every month on the third Friday, we do a handmade and homegrown happy hour where we invite the community, and it's kind of potluck style. We have drinks, we have snacks, we've done preserve swaps, we've done we all mended together.
A fiber exchange.
Yeah, we did a fiber exchange where everyone brought their extra yarn and traded it with people. Next month, we're going to be doing like
A cookie swap,
a
right?
cookie swap.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
And then we're starting next week. Every Wednesday, we're going to be doing like a fiber circle. So where you can come knit, crochet, embroider, mend, whatever you like, just from 4 to 6 every Wednesday, just in community,
Yeah.
no cost, just come hang.
It's really wonderful you're offering this service. I mean, it just sounds like the place that's cozy, that people can meet other folks or come with a group of friends and just have that space to gather, whether when it's not in their own home, which
Yeah.
some people, would like to get more excuses to get out of their own home and their own, pardon the pun, close knit circle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the concept of third space is so interesting, right? Like communities need it. I think you mentioned it, like I've been reading articles about it. Like, it's very important to have you have your home community, you have your work community, and it is very important for communities to have somewhere else to meet that are not those ties. And yeah, we hope Gather can be that for people.
Yeah.
Now, we just passed Small Business Saturday. The shopping kind of season's in full swing. I've been in your store and seen the plethora of wonderful products you have, but I want to hear from the owners themselves. Are there any specific products or categories in your store that you're particularly excited about right now that you want to encourage people to come in and take a look at before they might fly off the shelves?
Well, I mean, there's a couple. It's hard to narrow down because it's like all of my favorite babies, right? But but the things that I love the most are the things that are timeless. Like we have vintage cast iron that we have refinished locally that we just it's beautiful, the 50 to 100-year-old cast iron that looks brand new that will last a lifetime. Or we have like egg skelters, which is just a funny old-fashioned word for a way to, store your eggs if you have chickens. We have so many great things, but we really try to focus all of our products on finding the most useful item that's going to last a lifetime, that is heirloom quality, that is the right tool for the job. I mean, those are the things, those are our like litmus tests when we're choosing things to put on the floor. We really do a lot of research to make sure that we're finding things that is the right tool for the job and it's going to last.
One of the things I love about this is we are a great team. Like she likes to make me delicious treats and I'm like, let's knit. So for me, mine are all more fiber art focused. A couple of things I'm really excited about is one of our instructors, her name is Hannah. She goes by Hannah the Wool Witch, and she has made us a lot of beautiful kits. She does a lot of natural dyeing. So we have like natural dyed wool felting kits where you needle felt. It's a great stress reliever, just needle felting. We have a lot of dried flowers from another local farm in Oakland that you can do bundle dyeing. So I love making stuff like that with my hands, and that you have no idea how it's going to turn out, but it's this beautiful creation of color that you've made. And we've got a lot of visible mending stuff in. That's one of my newest hobbies, is like patching the holes in my pants and trying to make all of my stuff last a little longer. So I'm excited for that.
Right on. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of great stuff for people to come in and check out. And I want to ask here as we're wrapping up, what's next for Gather? Are there any upcoming projects or new offerings in the pipeline? I know we touched a little bit on 2026 classes offered, but what do you want to share with our listeners about what's coming down the pipeline for you both?
Well, I think 2026 is about finding our feet and making sure that we're providing workshops that people are excited about. We're going to be doing a lot of that focus, and then, refining the products we have in store and making sure that we have, we want to expand some of the different, we call them the pillars of our practical arts. We have home and kitchen, fiber arts, gardening, and preservation and fermentation. So each of those, we're really trying to refine and make sure that we have the right tools for the job in each of those pillars.
It's important to speak to our dreams and goals. I think we want to think about how we can, like, for me, take some of our workshops on the road, maybe like do some more like field trip style workshops, maybe do some like retreats of people who are like-minded, who want to go somewhere and do all of these practical arts in a new location for a week, learning how other cultures do these things. So thinking about planning some travel retreats. And then, really like expanding our workshops, like getting, right now we do 2 days a week, and it's hard to fit all the workshops in that we want to do in 2 days a week. So we're likely going to be adding some more and just figuring all that out. And again, Jen is really great at the business side of things. And I'm always like, and let's have another free night where people come just hang out. So we'll be figuring out the balance of adding more community events in to get people together.
There has to be that balance, especially when you're talking about getting people in the door for free. It's not what can they give you back in terms of money, but what can they give you back in terms of feedback, in terms of ideas, in terms of connections. I know as a small business owner myself how important that is. Well, it sounds like Gather is really geared up for 2026 to thrive and grow. And to our listeners out there, if preserving, if fermentation, if gardening is your jam, if you want to get out there and enjoy what Gather has to offer, please go ahead, go down to Main Street, go pop your head in the door and see what classes you can sign up for. As we leave, Jen and Erin, I just want to give you one last chance to have our listeners know where to find you and what they might be able to sign up for real quick and before the new year hits.
Well, you can always come to gathersebastopol.com and we see all of our workshops, and we've recently launched all of our products online, so you can order there and pick up in store, or we can ship them to you, or come and visit us and say hi and see what we've got going on.
Yeah, you can also find us at gather_Sebastopol on Instagram. We post our classes and stuff there. But we have a bunch of classes coming up through the end of December to make some natural gifts. So there's space in most of them.
Yeah.
Well, you've heard that direct from the owners themselves, listeners. Get out there, gather with your friends this holiday season and beyond. Jen and Erin, thank you so much for being on This Must Be the Place. And I look forward to connecting with you both in person very soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alo.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
The interviews are done, which means I think it's time to Crack one open. Interviews make me thirsty, and I want you thirsting for knowledge about some great beer, both local and not so local. Each week, I'll introduce you to a beer I find discussion-worthy and explain the nuances of what makes it fantastic in my eyes and why you should give it a try. And just to keep it on point, I'll even try to make sure the beer reflects the vibe or theme of the episode.
While thinking about this episode and how the magic of fermentation sparks joy in creators, I got to thinking about how brewers get their start. While lagers are a labor of love, they're often the first perfect challenge for a home brewer to create, as they take more time and nuance than a typical ale. Lagers are fermented much longer and have cleaner taste profiles than ales, which means there's not much you can hide behind in case of imperfections in the process. Years ago, I had the pleasure of meeting and befriending home brewers turned pros James Kloss and Matt Penpraise of Three Disciples Brewing, a Santa Rosa-based brewery that has been around in different forms since opening a tap room downtown in 2019. While the tap room is no longer in operation, they're still producing beers you can find at Oliver's, Bottle Barn, and other retail outlets. Lately, I have been immensely enjoying their Czech Pilsner Let There Be Light, a 5% snappy beer that is still enjoyable as the chill in the air sets over Sonoma County. Czech Pilsners are known for their Saaz hop profile, which add light herbal notes and spice notes to a lager. It keeps the beer refreshing and thirst-quenching, and with the dark days of December, there's always room to let there be light in our lives. With Small Business Saturday and Small Brewery Sunday just behind us, this is your reminder to go out and support Three Disciples and any and all of your other small local breweries. A huge thanks to Erin and Jen for gathering with me to discuss their new business venture on our first episode of West County Week. Stay tuned for our second drop on Sunday, and cheers from your host.
This Must Be the Place is produced by our friends at Pod Locally, an audio platform helping local voices connect to their communities. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or comment on all your favorite podcast apps, and visit the show notes for more information, links, and resources. Look out for our next drop on Sunday. Until then, I'm your host, Alo Galinsky, saying have a great week.